Ilka Chase said, democracy is not an easy form of government because it is never final. It is living, changing organism with continuous shifting and adjusting of balance between individual freedom and general order.
He is not going to be the nominee.
As I've mentioned before, Victor, Donald Trump is not the Republican nominee.
Well, I don't think it's likely that Donald Trump will be the nominee, but it's obviously too early to tell. I would vote for the nominee of the Republican Party, and I don't believe that's going to be Donald Trump.
Can he win the nomination?
Well, sure he can. I mean, you can make a case that probably 6 or 7 people can make the nomination. Do I think it's likely? No.
The only thing is Donald Trump hasn't won this nomination. The majority of Republican voters don't want Donald Trump as their nominee.
The polling and common sense will take you away from Trump getting the nomination.
He's the front runner according to the polls and the elections. He could become the nominee, and we're not going to let that happen.
In fact, it's almost inevitable to say whoever is really the front runner running away with it today is not going to be the nominee.
And I believe that Donald Trump will not be the nominee.
Well, he's not going to be the nominee, Martha.
Donald Trump is not going to get the nomination.
Donald is not going to be the GOP nominee.
We're going to beat him.
Well, listen, Martha, nobody's going to clinch it on the first ballot. Nobody is getting to 1237. I'm not, but Donald Trump is, and I.
Because I will move to Spain or somewhere.
Will Donald Trump be our next president? If that mother becomes president, I move my black ass to South Africa.
But I'm either coming to your country if you'll let me in, or Canada.
I already told you what I'm doing if he becomes president. I'm moving to Canada. Me and Drake gonna be neighbors if Donald Trump becomes president.
Listen, if he wins, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back.
Jeez, I might leave.
Is that right?
Yeah, I might.
Where would you go?
Canada.
I know everyone's always idly threatening this, but I'm 100% moving to Canada.
Any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family.
I did buy a house in another country just in case. So all these people that threaten to leave the country and then don't, I will leave that country.
Well, I would consider getting in a rocket and going to another planet.
Maybe it's time for me to move.
And what's wrong with being PC?
No, but listen, I can afford to go.
I'm open to support anyone, while I'm also reserving my ticket to get out of here if he wins.
Donald Trump will not become president.
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay. I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great because the stakes is already good.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom.
Take it from me. How about that?
Yes, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton.
When people around me, my family, my good friends and community leaders were telling me that Mr. Trump can never win the election, I was actually swimming against the strong current to tell them to write down on the wall that Mr. Trump would be our next president.
Can you introduce yourself to our audience here?
Well, my name is Hemant Bhatt. I have my own business in New Jersey. I have been observing the US elections 2016 for quite some time, and I wanted to give this message to the people in US and people at large to inform them what has happened and why it has happened in US elections 2016.
When and why you decided to support Republican nominee Mr. Donald J. Trump as the President of the United States?
For all the Indians or the people who are coming from the South Asian countries, they basically are not aware as to what are the basic principles of Democrat Party and the Republican Party. So if someone guides them to become something, they become something. They are not in a position to decide very consciously as to what party they are supposed to join. So somebody told me to join Democrats, so I registered myself Democrat. But then, I'm basically a Hindu, and I started observing that, oh my God, we are Hindus, and Democrat is like more or less like liberals, and they are doing some activities or they are doing something which is really like may not be fitting in my culture, may not my traditions and my customs and all that. And that is why I thought that did I make a mistake by becoming a Democrat? So I started reviewing, and then I went to the websites of Democrat Party, DNC, I went to the websites of Republican Party, and then I started finding out the difference between two of them, and I consciously decided to become Republican. And from that day onwards, I was the principles of Republican Party was matching with my thinking. And see, we are Hindus and we are basically conservative back home. We never think about LGBT, we never think about same-sex marriage, we can never think about anything which the liberals have all the time promoted. And that is why when we are here, and the majority of the Americans, they are also conservative. But the people who have come from outside, they label themselves a liberal or the Democrats and like that. And there is a sharp contradiction between the two kind of cultures, what is going on in here. So I was really trying to find something which this country people are deserving. I mean, there should be the right kind of right kind of government to be here in US. So when Donald Trump declared that he is going to contest the election, I went to his website, I studied him, I started listening to him, I checked his plans and all that, and I thought, oh my God, this is the right guy for this country, because this country is right now is like a heaven for illegal people. It is the heaven for the people who are living on the government benefits, welfare, and I cannot imagine that this is a capitalist country, and the capitalist country is gradually converting into socialistic kind of country. And government always, I was watching certain steps and the measures taken by the government, and they are helping people. See, helping people is not a problem. The problem is you don't make them habituated, make them get to work. They have to work. I'm paying my taxes. They are supposed to pay the taxes. They are supposed to work. They cannot just sit idle at the home and just get them and live on the government money. So I started listening to Mr. Trump, and I started really following him. Well, I was very concerned that America is being mismanaged for quite some time. Many forces are working against the country's overall interest, and many people are taking undue advantage of its liberal policies. Mr. Donald J. Trump was nominated by the Republican Party to contest election as president. I started leaning towards Mr. Trump, who is an experienced billionaire and non-political person, riding high on the emotions of patriotism. And when I seen him waging a war against the political establishment, that was exactly when I started to support him. I heard Mr. Trump, I also checked his website, read his plans, and found him to be savior of this great nation. I am one of the initial members of the Republican Hindi coalition under the chairmanship of Mr. Salab Kumarji. I had an opportunity to stand with the placard Trump Great for India and to interact with Mr. Trump at the Hindu rally organized in his support by Republican Hindu Coalition in New Jersey.
If I'm elected president, the Indian and Hindu community will have a true friend in the White House. India has seen firsthand the brutality of terrorism and cross-border violence, including the attacks in Mumbai. We will defeat radical Islamic terrorism. I look forward to working with Prime Minister Modi, who has been very energetic in reforming India's bureaucracy. Under a Trump administration, we are going to become even better friends. In fact, we are going to be best friends.
Do you support Mr. Trump's policies on immigration?
Agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants.
Mr. Trump has brought tremendous awareness about the complex problem of illegal immigrants in US. Illegal immigrants have criminal psyche from the time they decide to enter this country illegally. Also, most of the time they are unable to work or adjust to the needs of American society and end up being supported by the government, burdening to US economy. People say this is immigrants' country. Sure, it is. But it is for the legal immigrants who migrate under the provisions of law. No country in the world allow illegal aliens crossing their border, spend millions of dollars to protect and feed them, and give citizenship to their children who are born here. Illegal immigrants are unfair to legal immigrants and law-abiding citizens who wait for many years for getting permanent visa call. They undergo a whole lot process to become the permanent residents or citizens. Mr. Trump said it is national embarrassment that an illegal immigrant can walk across the border and receive free health care, and veterans who are serving this country is put on waiting list and gets no care. See, in the name of supporting illegal immigrants or allowing refugees, future vote banks are created by putting political interest first before the country's interest. Even legal immigration should be curtailed. Particularly, all legal visa programs should be thoroughly examined when 15 million Americans can't find a full-time job.
What are your views on Mr. Trump's overhauling international trade agreements?
I do not have enough knowledge about international trade agreements, TPP or NAFTA, but during the election campaign, I came to know certain things about them, and I'm in agreement with Mr. Trump. Arguments in favor of globalization, free trade, TPP or NAFTA are not worth when other nations' interests are put first before America's interest. Such arrangements should not put America at disadvantage, make situation economically unviable, or encourage American companies to establish their manufacturing facilities in other countries, taking our jobs away.
Do you agree with Mr. Trump to cancel executive orders?
Well, any action which is considered as unconstitutional, taken under the behest of presidential powers, without proper sanctity or approvals in the name of political correctness, has to be done away with. Such actions may have political considerations.
What are your views on building walls between the nation's borders?
Well, wall or strong and proper fencing on the border between two nations is not a new thing. Normally, such wall or fencing is necessary for avoiding any dispute relating to the measurement of boundary or stopping any illegal infiltration of people or smuggling from the other side. Actually, the question on the contrary is why such action has not been taken for so many years. This is really surprising.
What do you think why Mr. Trump won the election of the United States?
Oh my God, this is a really very great question. Particularly under these circumstances when Mr. Trump's winning was considered as a distant possibility. Mr. Trump, who is coming from outside of the political establishment, wanted to do the right things outside the box. Americans visualize that by electing Mr. Trump, America will rise up from present challenges bigger, better and stronger than ever before. His campaign about term limits for Congress, federal hiring freeze, 2 regulations are eliminated for every 1 new regulation, infrastructure spending, America first and make America great again approach, ban on White House and congressional officials becoming lobbyists, permanent ban on foreign lobbying by White House officials, complete ban on foreign lobbyists raising money for American elections, wall on the border, bringing the jobs back from overseas, strong military, deportation of illegal immigrants and waits to be taken care of have given him tremendous edge over his opposite candidate. First time since 1928, believe me, Republicans will control the White House, the Senate, the House and the Scouts.
Alright, we're going to grab some Donald Trump supporters over here.
A lot of illegal people are entering in this country, and what is exactly happening is the Americans are converting into minority and the outsiders, illegal people are becoming majority, and that is why this guy is going to take the complete interest and complete control of this nation. Right. And the most important thing is, basically he will be able to create the fears in the people, outside people who are coming illegally here, who wants to radical Islamic terrorism. That is the most important thing he is going to address. And I'm personally of the opinion that this guy, once he has become a president, radical Islamic terrorism is going to be stopped. People around outside, they will be afraid. Oh my God, we cannot go and do it here. So this guy is like a great man. I'm sure this guy is going to lead the world, and I'm sure he's going to lead the America too.
Do you think that Mr. Trump was always put on the defense by other campaign?
Oh my God, this is really a very great question to prove that how a person can swim against the current and still manage to reach the shore.
Lower your taxes very, very substantially. I'm going to get rid of massive amounts of unnecessary regulation. All of these regulations on your business and in your life. I'm going to unleash American energy. I'm going to repeal and replace Obamacare. I'm going to appoint justices of the Supreme Court who will follow the Constitution. I'm going to rebuild our depleted military and take care of our vets who are treated so badly. In many cases, our vets are treated not nearly as well as people who come into our country illegally. We can't have that. I'm going to save your Second Amendment, which is under siege. I'm going to stop illegal immigration and drugs from pouring into our country and totally poisoning our youth and others. It's a tremendous problem. And yes, we will build the wall. The wall will be built. And just in case you're worried about who's going to pay for it, Mexico will pay for it. Being totally serious about that. Mexico will pay for it. And you understand, Mexico, by the way, we look at the trade deficit we have with Mexico, it's massive. The wall is peanuts compared to what we're talking about. Mexico will pay for the wall. And I'm going to renegotiate our disastrous trade deals, especially NAFTA, and we will only make great trade deals that put the American worker first and put the American worker back to work. That includes our miners and our steel workers. They're going back to work. We will rebuild our roads. our bridges, our tunnels, our highways, our airports, schools, hospitals. We'll rebuild everything. American cars will travel the roads. American planes will soar the skies. And American ships will patrol the seas. American steel will send new skyscrapers into the clouds. American hands will rebuild this nation. And American energy, harvested from American sources, will power this nation. American workers will be hired to do the job. We will put new American metal and new American steel into the spine of this country. Jobs will return, incomes will rise, new factories will come rushing back to our shores. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
To my knowledge, other campaigns played all types of cards, like warnings by economists for depression, woman card, minorities card, Hispanics card, Muslims, sexism, religion, racism, like white supremacy, millions of dollars of negative advertisements against Mr. Trump, impressive fundraisers, Silicon Valley and corporate backing, social media, claims of nuclear weapons mishandling, unbelievable endorsement, strong media support, paid protest, favorable pre-poll numbers, celebrities, Hollywood stardoms, musical concerts, comedians mimicking opinions of political analysts, past presidents not endorsing Mr. Trump, current and past presidents, current and past first ladies coming together on one stage, Dump Trump and Stop Trump movements, drive for new voter registrations, and many such things, In spite of all this, I must say Mr. Trump stood solid and successfully won the election. He made a history, he swam against the adversity, and really a great job done.
Newspaper Charlie Hebdo was attacked for publishing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. 12 were killed, including 2 police officers, and 11 were wounded. 2 days later, 4 were murdered in a Jewish deli. In November 2015, terrorists went on shooting, and they just went on a rampage. And this you heard, and you'll never hear the end of it. One of the worst things that anybody has ever seen. They went on a rampage. They slaughtered 130 people and wounded 368 people, so gravely wounded that many are still in the hospitals. And they'll never be the same. In March of this year, terrorists detonated a bomb in the Brussels airport, killing 32 and injuring 340 people. This July, the south of France, an Islamic terrorist turned his truck into an instrument of mass murder, killing 85 men, women, and children, and wounding 308 people. Among the dead were 2 Americans, a Texas father and his 11-year-old son. Shortly after that, in Germany, a refugee armed with an axe wounded 5 people in a gruesome train attack. Also this summer, an ISIS killer invaded a Christian church in Normandy and forced an 85-year-old priest to his knees and slit his throat right before his congregation. Overseas, ISIS has carried out one unthinkable atrocity after another. Christians driven from their homes and hunted for extermination. ISIS rounding up what it calls the Nation of the Cross in a campaign of genocide, horrible genocide. We cannot let this evil continue.
What do you think why a Democratic Party nominee lost the election?
Come on. when Hillary Clinton says I'm out of touch, I just have to remind people of the track record. All right? So now this is Senator Clinton. This is the same person who has taken more money from lobbyists than any other candidate, Democratic or Republican, taking more money from drug company lobbyists and insurance company lobbyists, and she's saying, I'm out of touch? Who do you think is out of touch? This is the same person who took money from financial folks on Wall Street and then voted for a bankruptcy bill that makes it harder for folks right here in Pennsylvania to get a fair shake. Who do you think is out of touch? This is the same person who spent a decade with her husband campaigning for NAFTA and now goes around saying how she was opposed to NAFTA. Does that sound like she's in touch with Pennsylvania? Does that sound like she's in touch with you? This is the same person who says she's voting for the Colombia trade deal. Turns out that her top advisor, her top strategist, was working for the Colombian government to get the bill passed. Does that sound like she's in touch with you?
This could have been otherwise. Negativity created and published against Mr. Trump actually benefited Mr. Trump. Any person can think why they spent millions of dollars on negative advertisement on Mr. Trump and no advertisements listing their accomplishment and agenda for the future. It was unusual that some justice said to resign if Mr. Trump is elected as president. Justices should not have involved in the democratic election process unless there is a question of law or constitution. Media also carried the news that investigation of corruption would continue. People felt that it can lead to political chaos, uncertainty, and constitutional crisis. They decided to elect Mr. Trump for stabilized government. Many stories about corruption, pay for play, donations to the charitable foundations, etc. were heard and circulating on the social media.
It's obvious that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's obvious he can't control his mind or his tongue. And what I've suggested, if now, because he's the nominee for the party, and he's entitled to briefings from the CIA, for example, I said publicly, give him fake briefings. Pretend you're briefing him. Don't tell him anything that you don't want to get out. And that's how I feel about it. I think that the man is a loose cannon. I think he's done so much to hurt our country with our international relations already.
But as a Republican nominee, isn't he entitled to get those briefings?
Give him fake briefings.
What does that even mean?
It means they'll tell him stuff. He won't know the difference.
You're basically telling the intelligence community to lie to him.
Americans feel that Affordable Care Act has done more damage than cure, which was of course Mr. Trump's biggest agenda. Americans felt that same old policies would continue, which are in place for last 8 years, and they were really looking for some drastic policy changes. Actually, they also avoided US administration being practically run by 3 presidents, you know what I mean.
Why there were protests against Mr. Trump?
Sporadic protests were made by students and groups allegedly supported by special interests. It was not by masses though. They did not know what they are protesting about. They may not even know about the provisions of the Constitution of this great nation.
Are you protesting Donald Trump? Yes. What's the policy that you object to? All of it.
Just like the things he says about women and like the racism.
Like what?
Yeah. He does not support other races.
He's got too much money.
He has to be respectful to everyone, because we don't want that kind of people leader for our nation. Because I think that he is entirely un-American in the way that he goes about his politics.
Are you working with a group? You've got a UAW sign right there.
Donald Trump has accused me of whatever. No, I do not. Yes, I am union. Union is standing.
With the way things are, I think Trump is gaining a lot of ground because he's.
I support Bernie Sanders 120%.
Let me tell Mr. Trump that these national and international forces, internal and external threats, are going nowhere. Do not get shaken off at all. You have the clear mandate of Americans to administer this country in the best interest.
What are your views about the right to burn the US flag?
Flag of any country is the nation's pride and respected symbol of sovereign or the public. Even people die for it. To my knowledge, no country will allow burning its flag. No patriots or nationalists will even think about it, leave alone burning it. What kind of loyalty we can expect from those people who do not respect their national flag and burn them? Thank you, Mr. Trump, for bringing a tremendous awareness about giving respect to our national flag and warning to face the consequences if someone doing such act.
How far stopping of the fund to sanctuary cities which supports illegal immigrants is justified?
It's really very sad that lawmakers whose primary duty is to make laws, implement the laws and punish those who break the laws. They are openly coming out vowing to protect the undocumented people or illegal immigrants. It is a federal law about harboring undocumented immigrants that any person who, knowing that an alien remains in the US in violation of the law, conceals, harbors or shields that person from detection shall be fined under Title 18, imprisoned not more than 10 years. There are about 300 sanctuary cities protecting illegal immigrants. It is also unfortunate that such illegal habitats are funded by the taxpayers' money. To my opinion, such funding should be stopped immediately. As Mr. Trump announced, it is in the interest of this great nation to deport about 2 million criminal immigrants.
Do you agree on Mr. Trump's views on suspending immigration from regions compromised by terrorism?
Yes, absolutely sure. It will make America safe against the homegrown terrorism, and it is the best thing to do.
Why the financial and stock markets are so upbeat after winning the election by Mr. Trump?
This is a great question. After election of Mr. Trump, all indexes of the stock market and value of the dollar improved dramatically. In fact, they are at historical record high. Actually, slipstream of the first joint all-time high for Wall Street's four main indexes since 1999, with Dow, S&P 500, Nasdaq Composite and Russell 2000 all hitting new records, showing about upbeat mood of Mr. Trump's election. Markets are betting for small government, strong financial and banking institutions with the hike in interest rates, restructuring the tax brackets, lowering taxes for individual and corporate, huge infrastructure spending, deregulations, focus on America first rather than the world, bringing jobs back and business-like treatment to the US economy.
What are your views on cutting the government regulations that lead businesses to leave our country?
More regulations always create hindrances for the business growth. Cutting the government regulations would give required freedom to the businesses for establishing new ventures expanding existing businesses and creating competition for the benefit of consumers by better quality and keeping the prices under the check. Once the businesses get business-friendly environment from the government, they would not leave America for those countries which provide such facilities.
Do you think plans and policies of Mr. Trump will make America great again?
We will all support and strengthen the hands of Mr. Donald J. Trump to make America great again. We all want to make Americans great again. I think America was going in the wrong directions by liberals' approach. Americans did not approve outgoing administration's free gifts to illegal immigrants, artificial ways to sustain the economy, many policies which were putting the interest of other nations first before the interest of America, and proposed a refugee plan. Any country can thrive and prosper by placing its interest first. I have no doubt that with the policies proposed by Mr. Trump and his approach of America first, America will become great again. It's time to believe in future. It's time to believe in each other, and it's time to believe in America. God bless Mr. Trump, God bless Americans, and God bless America. Edward Albee said, "Remember one thing about democracy. We can have anything we want, and at the same time, we always end up with exactly what we deserve."
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.